On the early morning of November 6, 2012, silence hung over 18th Avenue in Quezon City. But that silence was shattered when locals reported the sound of gunshots echoing through the streets at dawn. Hours later, a horrifying discovery was made. A young woman's body lay on the ground. She wore a simple white top and blue leggings. Her shoes were missing, her purse nowhere to be found. Her lifeless eyes were still open, frozen in terror. There were bruises across her body, clear signs of a struggle, but the most chilling detail was the brutality of her death. 5 bullets fired into her head at point-blank range. Clutched in her hand was a crumpled McDonald's paper bag, her last fragile link to life. With no phone, no identification, and no one to claim her, she was at first just another nameless victim. But investigators would soon learn that this was no random killing. This was the carefully planned execution of a woman whose only mistake was trusting the wrong friend. Her name was Julianne Rodelis, a 20-year-old model whose beauty and ambition had made her a rising star. She had dreams, a career, and a future. But behind her smile, jealousy was brewing, coming not from a stranger, but from the person she considered a close friend. That friend was Jasmine Galapon, who would later admit that she orchestrated Julie's death out of envy and resentment. But Jasmine didn't act alone. She lured Julie into a trap using the promise of a night out as bait. Julie had no idea that when she stepped out with people she thought she could trust, she was walking straight toward her killers. Investigators pieced together that on the night before her death, Julie had been with Jasmine and several others, driving around in a vehicle. What happened inside that car remains the subject of speculation and horror. Witnesses later claimed that Julie had been humiliated, berated, and even beaten. At some point, she was forced into silence. The group then drove toward Quezon City, where her life was brutally taken. 5 gunshots to the head, leaving her body discarded on the roadside like trash. For Julie, there was no chance to fight back, no chance to run. For the killers, it was cold, calculated, and final. The investigation quickly pointed to Jasmine, whose story began to unravel under questioning. She admitted to being with Julie that night, but tried to shift the blame onto others. She named a man known as alias Pogie and another called Alan, claiming they were the ones who carried out the shooting. Jasmine's role, however, was undeniable. She had delivered Julie straight into danger. Whether or not she pulled the trigger, she had set the plan in motion. The motive she gave was almost unthinkable: simple jealousy. Julie's success, beauty, and popularity had consumed her with envy until it turned deadly. The brutality of the crime and the betrayal behind it shocked the community. This wasn't a killing by a stranger, nor was it a crime of passion in the heat of the moment. It was premeditated. It was personal. Julie was betrayed by the very person she thought was her friend, someone she had trusted to be by her side. And worse still, not everyone involved was ever brought to justice. While Jasmine faced charges and her confession painted a chilling picture, the men she implicated vanished, leaving her to carry the weight of the crime alone in the eyes of the law. Julie's family was devastated. To them, she was more than just a headline or another tragic statistic. She was their daughter, their sister, their light. The way her life was taken, with cruelty and indifference, left wounds that could never heal. Her mother, in interviews, spoke of the pain of losing her child in such a heartless way, calling the act unforgivable. Forgiveness, she said, would never be possible because what was stolen was irreplaceable. As the years passed, Julie's murder became one of the most haunting reminders of how jealousy can destroy lives. Her story is a lesson in how trust can be weaponized, how those closest to us can sometimes be the ones who carry the sharpest knives. Even today, questions linger about the full truth of that night, about the missing men whose faces never stood trial, about the exact details of Julie's final hours. But one thing remains clear: she never should have died. Her dreams never should have been cut short. Julie's death was not just the end of one young woman's life. It was the end of everything she could have become. The modeling career that might have taken her to new heights, the future family she might have had, the experiences, the laughter, the love, all stolen in one night of betrayal. And while the people responsible tried to silence her forever, Julie's story continues to echo, a chilling warning that sometimes the real danger doesn't come from strangers in the dark, but from the people we trust the most.